Motorsport Games has undergone a surprising paradigm shift in recent times, from vilified to deified. As a result, Le Mans Ultimate is slowly becoming the platform of choice for sports car racing fans. Barring a 5th DLC pack in June, which is set to include 2 LMGT3 cars and the Losail International Circuit, news of LMU's future content is sadly scarce. However, it was announced on a recent earnings call that a new, exciting roadmap of content and features is expected to be announced after the next update. An exit from early access is still on track for this year too. With WEC and its support series steeped in history and ripe full of potential cars and tracks, we thought we'd pick out some highlights we'd love to see in LMU in 2025 and beyond. Just before we dive in, pause this video, jump down to the comments below, and let me know what you would like to see in LMU this year and beyond. Let's see if it actually aligns with some of our ideas. And while you're down there, do consider subscribing to this Traxion channel so that you don't miss any videos like this in future. This seems like an obvious one, but a 2025 expansion to match LMU's incumbent 23 and 24 content makes complete sense. The only problem with this is that the 2024 calendar is exactly the same as 2025, meaning fresh tracks are technically off the agenda. So will players be happy paying for new liveries only? Perhaps not, but 2025 does have one huge plus point: the Aston Martin Valkyrie LMH. The Gaydon-based manufacturer has flirted with the idea of racing its Valkyrie in WEC since 2019, with its initial effort binned until it was clear the series had entered a new golden era. American team The Heart of Racing, or Thor for short, gotta love that, is spearheading the Valkyrie program, with 2 cars in WEC this year and a single entry in the IMSA Sports Car Championship. The most striking thing about the Valkyrie, other than its dynamic looks, is its incredible V12 power plant, the only 12-cylinder engine competing at the pinnacle of world motorsport today. Although it's stymied by the negative effects of the engine's extra weight, the Valkyrie has offset this by running without a hybrid system across its front axle, unlike its LMH rivals Peugeot, Ferrari and Toyota. Because hypercars are kept competitive due to a balance of performance or BOP calculation, which by the way is decided by series organisers Automobile Club de l'Ouest and the FIA, it's hoped the Valkyrie's lack of battery boost will not affect its performance. However, copying the Van Wall van der Vel's drivetrain choice doesn't exactly bode well, despite the car's recent BOP break. Nevertheless, driving a wailing V12 in LMU would be incredible if the game's current audio design is anything to go by. I think there are some great opportunities there with what is an amazing car, said Hood when quizzed about the Valkyrie LMH, indicating it's very much in the thoughts of LMU's developers. The 2024 season will be complete before too long, and then we will work on 2025 modifications, he concluded. Aside from the eardrum-splitting Aston, there is, of course, the venerable Mercedes-AMG for the LMGT3 class. The second of 2 new cars in the 2025 season, this is not in the simulation yet, as the German company was omitted from the real-world 23 and 24 WEC entry list. However, for this season, with Lamborghini leaving the championship, a space opened up for the Affalterbach Beast to compete via the Iron Lynx squad. A popular car in other simulations, while it's not been confirmed for Le Mans Ultimate development, the game's official YouTube channel did leave a tease under Mercedes driver and sim racer Daniel Morad's recent video. Oh, and let's not forget, another car that is technically new to WEC for 2025, BMW's M4 LMGT3 Evo, featuring revised headlights, tail lights and brakes. We'd love to see some 2025 season liveries too, like Toyota's epic Le Mans anniversary design. Although the soprano and tenorous tones of the respective Valkyrie and Merc provide a tangible goal for LMU, WEC is also looking forward to new cars from Ford and McLaren in the near future. Before then, Hyundai's premium brand Genesis will enter its hypercar as early as next season. Ford has inked a deal to race an LMDH from 2027, hoping to build upon the success of its overall wins in the 60s and its more recent 2016 GTE class victory. The prospect of going toe-to-toe with Ferrari again was clearly too big a lure for the Dearborn brand, which currently fields a pair of Mustangs in the LMGT3 class. McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown has often publicly expressed his interest in tackling the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and duly announced a full WEC hypercar program this year. McLaren will enter from 2027 as well, and will be hoping to emulate the success of its F1 GTR, which won the 1995 edition of the Great Race on its debut. With rumours surrounding a further Mercedes-AMG entry to add to the firm's 2025 LMGT3 debutant, the prospect of 3 or even 4 new hypercars appearing in WEC, and therefore LMU, is very likely. We can't forget prospective LMGT3 entries either, with Toyota surely set to replace the aging RCF LMGT3 entered by its sister brand Lexus. A Supra GT3 has long been rumoured, but came to naught, and if testing footage is to be believed, a whole new GR GT3 model could be in the works, likely entered once again under the Lexus brand. A replacement for the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2 will also appear in 2026. The Temerario GT3 will drop the Santa Agata manufacturer's sonorous V10 motor for a V8, something fans will look upon as the end of an era for the much-loved power plant. However, it is yet to be confirmed whether or not this car will appear in 2026. And might we see a two-pronged attack on the series from Acura and Honda in future? Acura successfully campaigns its ARX06 LMDH hypercar in IMSA, while its Acura or Honda NSX GT3 Evo 22 has raced across the globe for several years with middling success, though surprisingly, it's making its British GT debut this season. The problem here is branding, with the Acura marque focused on the North American market under the control of Honda Japan. If the stars align, then Honda could potentially enter both WEC categories, but the question is, which model could replace the elderly NSX? Personally, I'd go Jazz. A Jazz LMGT3. I would drive it. My gran had one. Loved it. FIA WEC having all of these manufacturers and cool things coming to the table just gives us a golden ticket for amazing content that gets pushed into the product. That is a quote from Stephen Hood, and that is encouraging. LMU's recent update, which added several new circuit layouts not featured in WEC, showed that it was possible to add track configurations outside of the WEC calendar to LMU, although technically within the existing roster. There are, however, tentative plans for WEC to boost the number of races from 2027 onwards, with new venues in the pipeline. No, I do not believe that in 2026 we have more races, maybe in 2027, stated WEC CEO Frédéric Lequiem to Motorsport Week, with Silverstone heavily mooted as a potential destination. LMU developer Studio 397 has an interesting history with the British circuit, given the license deal for its R-Factor 2 sim was not renewed in 2022 due to rumoured financial pressures. But as LMU has access to the WEC track roster via its all-encompassing license, it's thought that this won't present a challenge. Silverstone is also part of the European Le Mans Series calendar in 2025, more on this later, so obtaining that particular championship license would be a quicker way to drive the track in LMU. With the vast majority of tracks locked into multi-year deals, it seems like the only way new circuits can join WEC, and therefore LMU, is through the series expanding its 8-round season. Whether this is possible or not will require a lot of logistical and financial planning, but with the championship in such rude health, it seems almost inevitable. Future John here, apologies for interrupting myself. If you're a Le Mans Ultimate player and you're looking for that extra little bit of lap time, then why don't you get yourself a professional esports level setup from Go Setups? There's a link in the video description, and if you click that and use code TRAXION at checkout, you'll get 10% off your first order and help support this channel in the process. Back to me. Other series that run under the stewardship of the FIA and the Automobile Club de l'Ouest include the European and Asian Le Mans Series. Although not as glamorous or as well supported as WEC, the prospect of driving tracks like Yas Marina, Sepang, Paul Ricard, Silverstone, Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya and the Dubai Autodrome is appealing, well, maybe not all of them. An ELMS or ALMS license could also open the door to the inclusion of LMP3 cars in LMU. These now V6 powered prototypes constructed by Ligier, Ginetta and Duquesne act as a stepping stone for amateur drivers wishing to drive in WEC's top classes and feature less aero grip and power than LMP2s. We could also add the ELMS supporting Le Mans Cup series to the list while we're at it, which would add a fourth LMP3 variant made by ADES. We believe that, of the two, the European series is the most likely to be worked on, with CEO Hood and VP of Competition Ben Roster-Turner recently meeting with the ACO at an ELMS round earlier this year. However, the real jewel in the crown of future LMU DLC could be an IMSA license. This burgeoning series shares similar car regulations to WEC, the rules are decided by the ACO and IMSA jointly, but also has its intricacies, with the top class referred to as GTP. This still includes LMDH cars from Porsche, BMW, Acura, Cadillac and Lamborghini, which will all be balanced against Aston Martin's LMH Valkyrie for this season. The best reason for adding an IMSA license, however, is its incredible tracks, with driver-centric venues like Long Beach, Daytona International Speedway, Laguna Seca, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Road America, Watkins Glen, Virginia International Raceway, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Road Atlanta and the Detroit Street Circuit making up the 2025 season. Sebring is on the roster too, but of course it's already in the game. Most of these are truly fantastic tracks to drive, especially in high downforce cars, and would undoubtedly make LMU the de facto endurance racing simulator of choice, even for North American fans. The license seems gettable too, with both iRacing and Automobilista 2 already heavily featuring IMSA content. But how likely is it? In a recent interview with Traxion, MSG CEO Stephen Hood discussed the potential of other series coming to LMU. People say you could add IMSA, you can have the European Le Mans series, why don't you do the MX-5s or the Porsche Cup? And I'm sitting here going, yeah, I'd bloody love to, but I've got to say no. I've got to put the lid on that sweet tin and push it to one side. We must deliver what we're meant to. The prospect of seeing IMSA content in LMU doesn't seem promising in the short term then, but with MSG recently receiving a cash injection from Chinese VR specialist Pimax, it feels like there is more scope for introducing new features and licenses to LMU in future. The licensing conversations are progressing, and I think we will expand Le Mans Ultimate to be much larger than it is today, continued Hood. One thing worth remembering is that Long Beach, Daytona, VIR, thanks to the Rise of Pack DLC, Laguna Seca and Indianapolis were already laser scanned and implemented in rFactor 2, potentially making it easier to implement them in LMU in future. That's intriguing. With such a rich heritage, it's also sensible to suggest that historic WEC and Le Mans content would do very well in LMU. Le Mans has so many stories to tell. McLaren's road car winning in 1995, 1988's Group C head-to-head between Jaguar and Porsche, and Ford and Ferrari's passion-fueled duel for glory in 1966. All of these moments spring to mind, and by the way, we have a full video about the entire history of Le Mans if you want to find out more. Now, this may be a bit fantastical, but wouldn't it be great if historical content came within the scope of a specific scenarios mode? Imagine trying to drive the full 24 hours at Le Mans solo, as Pierre Levey attempted in 1952, despite having a willing co-driver, or attempting to finish that last fateful lap for Toyota in 2016. WEC and Le Mans are full of interesting subplots that could be thoroughly explored via LMU. The cars would undoubtedly be the stars in this situation, with the Ford GT40, Porsche 917 and Mazda 787B representing a taster of the vast smorgasbord of machinery available to the developers. Historic WEC tracks like the Nordschleife in its World Sports Car days, Targa Florio and Mille Miglia would be eligible too, although historic versions of LMU's incumbent tracks is perhaps a more likely option. After all, laser scanning 1,000 miles of Mille Miglia may present some challenges? When next month's update arrives, team-based online gameplay, custom liveries, and multiplayer driver swaps to simulate endurance racing will be added. Combine this with single-player races, a unique co-op mode, built-in ranked multiplayer and special events, and Le Mans Ultimate is finally feature complete. Except it isn't. There is no single-player career mode, let alone the ability to run a single-player championship. Whether or not these are ready for the version 1.0 release expected later this year remains to be seen, but we expect a career mode to be worked on and included at some point. Just don't expect it too soon. We cannot discuss the future of Le Mans Ultimate without mentioning PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. No, console versions are not confirmed, and yes, a third-party publisher deal must be struck to help fund the conversion. However, with a bit of luck, such a deal could be completed. This work continues at pace, with discussions underway with multiple potential porting and publishing collaborators, and we hope to have something to announce soon, said Hood recently. Just to finish up, a couple more left-field additions that I think you would love to see just as much as I would. As an added bonus, perhaps we could consider some Garage 56 cars for possible inclusion in LMU. Garage 56 is the concept where innovative cars are granted entry to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Starting with 2012's Nissan Delta Wing concept, Garage 56 has seen a car powered by biomethane fuel, and a car designed to be driven by a quadruple amputee driver. However, the Garage 56 entry most people remember is the Camaro ZL1 driven by Jenson Button, Jimmy Johnson and Mike Rockenfeller in 2023. Entered by NASCAR to both celebrate the series' 75th birthday and to introduce its new next-gen car platform, the Camaro's raucous V8 engine was the star of the show throughout the centenary, and the car proved to be quicker than the majority of the GTE class in the race. Transmission woes curtailed its progress, however, although it did take the checkered flag. In theory, the ZL1 should be covered by the WEC license, but the Camaro's NASCAR origins may muddy the waters slightly. There's no denying though that if it was introduced, it would be a fan favourite. The inclusion of H24 Racing's LMP H2G is perhaps more feasible, considering it has already appeared in R Factor 2. The LMP H2G was used as a pace car for the 2020 and 2022 editions of the 24 Hours of Le Mans Virtual, showcasing electric hydrogen technology. I hope you're ready for more abbreviations, by the way. Based on the ADES 03 LMP3 car, which made sporadic appearances in ALMS, ELMS and the Le Mans Cup between 2015 and 2021, the LMP H2G was slated for a 2025 Le Mans appearance. However, the ACO has confirmed there will be no Garage 56 entries this year. Oh well. I do have one final idea, a relatively modern version of the Nürburgring Nordschleife. That's never going to happen, I hear you shouting at me. Just hear me out. LMU has the WEC license, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility to have a classic WEC track pack. Since its inception in 2012, and aside from the circuits already in the game, the series has visited Shanghai, Mexico, Silverstone, and the Nürburgring. Now, of course, the latter did only feature the GP layout. However, as mentioned earlier, Motorsport Games has shown it's able to add alternative layouts for existing venues, even if they weren't layouts used in the World Endurance Championship. So using this flawless logic, paired with the fact that there's already a scan on RF2, the Nürburgring Nordschleife could theoretically come to LMU. You heard it here first. It's not going to happen. So those are our thoughts, but do you agree, or do you think we missed anything major? Let us know down in the comments below, leave us a like if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel for more racing game content like this, and always keep an eye on the TraxionGG website for the latest racing game news, reviews, and features. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.